Are you ready?
Yeah, you're right.
John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, one satellite, start looking left. You're watching on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell, get alerts, tell all your friends, come here, be on the show with me. Listen after. Dave will tell you how to have your very own show here in our beautiful podcast. I'm getting better. You hear how tight that was? You were here with Bob Anderson. I feel like I know you.
Yes, you do.
You know?
Yeah.
Mutual. I don't know that we've officially done this, but a lot of mutual acquaintances, which we will get to. So this is going to be I don't know what this is.
It's a reunion of sorts.
Of sorts, yes.
And a reacquaintance.
We're going to connect the dots, like we say.
And a new deep friendship.
Yeah.
Right?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. Definitely. So drummer.
Yes.
Primarily. That's where we're going to start.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll start there?
Yeah.
Okay. Give us at least a preview of where we're going to go. So we're going to start as drummer.
Right.
And
then we're going to morph into record store guy.
Okay.
And then from there we're going to become a distribution guy.
Oh.
And then from there the label guy.
Hey.
Then after that we're going to become an entrepreneur.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then wind up in radio. So it's going to be like 360.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Chapter 1. I was born
in New Britsky.
Hey. Oh.
All right.
Hey,
yeah.
New Britsky. Wow. That's
right outside the Polish section there. Yeah.
Nice.
60 Lion Street.
Oh, okay.
Second floor of a 3-family.
Not that familiar.
Grandparents lived downstairs.
Of course.
Aunt and uncle lived on the 3rd floor.
Nice.
We were in the middle.
Beautiful.
You know?
Yep.
So I was there for 5 years, and then we moved from New Britain to Cheshire.
Okay. Sure. Yep.
Cheshire, Connecticut. That's where I started taking piano lessons, John. And Joe Gaetani was my teacher.
Okay.
Came to the house every Wednesday. I hated it.
Still around? Probably not.
You know, not sure about that. But I just remember like looking out the window and seeing his car pull up, going like, "Oh man,
oh boy,
your
knuckles hurt already because
yeah. Plus, he was like a short guy. He had glasses and he had like the hairiest fingers I've ever seen in my life.
Wow, maybe he was a werewolf. You know, that's one of the things.
Something like that. But anyway, you know, I'm 5 years old. My dad was a piano player.
Okay, I was.
My grandfather was a drummer and a violinist.
Oh boy.
Right? So I kind of had it in the blood a little bit, but I didn't really get the concept of like putting 3 notes together.
Yeah.
Like
you have siblings that did this, or you're the only?
Yes, my older brother Gary. Okay. He was also forced to take piano lessons. So yeah. So then he veered off into guitar.
Okay.
And then my dad, who was really a jazz musician.
Oh wow.
Loved Oscar Peterson.
Yeah.
Loved, Brubeck.
Sure.
Loved Basie, all those guys. He took me to see Brubeck on a New Haven Green.
Wow.
He was the opening act
wow.
for the New Haven Arts Festival.
Wow. Yeah.
And
this would have been what year?
63.
Okay. Yeah.
And I saw Joe Morello play for the
first time. Yeah. That's got to do something to you.
And it knocked me out.
Yeah, sure.
So, and actually one of the things that he did was for a solo, he took his snare drum on a stand and his seat out to the middle of the stage, and he did a solo by himself with one stick.
Whoa. Yeah, sure.
Left-handed.
Why not? Wow. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that was completely inspiring.
Yeah.
To me. So I said, you know what? I'm going to switch from piano to drums.
Cool. And your dad was like, okay.
Moment. Yeah, he was.
Because he kind of played drums.
Yeah.
Kind of. So he
like, needed a drummer,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was.
Wow.
Yeah, that was in Cheshire.
It's a good way to get it, Joe Morello.
Yeah. So then I joined the band. I started taking drum lessons in junior high school, actually.
Okay.
Didn't have a great teacher, but then my folks knew that I was serious about it.
Yep.
So they started getting me private lessons in Meriden.
Okay.
At Jimmy Ozzolino's Music Box.
I don't know. I've heard other people talk about that. Where was it?
It was right on the main drag there, I guess. I'm not really
I grew
sure.
up in Wallingford, but
yeah.
that
And so
was
Mom
the
would
spot.
take me there every Wednesday, and I'd take my drum lesson. And Ozzolino, it was a record store and an instrument store basically, but he had all the drums upstairs.
Wow.
Long store, set after set after set after set of drums, and it was like wow,
like heaven,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And my teacher was a guy by the name of Johnny Obalon.
Oh yeah, of course, sure. Okay,
who
makes
taught
sense
in the Meriden School.
Sure, that's right.
Right, so John was my teacher all the way through high school.
Oh, great.
So I studied with him for 6 years.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things, where I was just totally hooked.
Yeah.
And my folks never had to tell me to practice or anything like that. I was just totally motivated by, what I was doing. So I have to say that Johnny was my mentor.
Wow.
He
So
really
you
was.
came more jazz than rock and roll, or both? Or
Yeah, much more. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, much more jazz than.
Yeah. Well, he's the guy.
He was the
to
guy.
meet.
Yeah. And his wife played B3.
Yep.
So and they
Yep.
were monsters.
Oh, yeah.
The two of them together.
Yeah. I
Crazy.
grew up with Jim, the son.
Yeah.
Yeah. Monster. Beyond monster.
Beyond monster. Right. Yeah. So funny story about Jim. So I saw that Jim was playing. I didn't meet him personally, but I saw that he was playing at the Owl Shop
Sure.
in New Haven. So I went to one of his gigs. He's playing with his trio, and I met him, after the show and said, "Hey, Jim, I'm Bob Anderson, and
Sure.
your dad was an incredible drummer, and an amazing teacher for me, and just wanted to say thanks because he was fantastic,
Sure.
and my mentor." And Jim said, "Well, would you be interested in buying his drums?"
Oh, wow.
So I said, "Sure, of course."
How about that? Yeah.
Because at this point, basically, I'd opened the Krusty Tubbs, which we'll get to a little bit later. But
The what?
Krusty Tubbs, the drum store that I've
Oh, right. Okay.
with Tom.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyway, so I said, "Sure." So I bought his dad's drums, and they're a set of 1973 blue and olive badge Ludwig's
Ooh.
Mach 5
Eesh.
silver silk finish
Wow. Yeah. You got a picture?
and a super sensitive.
Yeah. Somewhere.
Somewhere,
We'll
yeah.
get there.
So they're sitting in my basement.
Wow.
And Jim was happy because he wanted to keep them in the family.
That's an honor. Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
So there you go.
So,
that's
yeah.
pretty cool.
So that's great. So everything
That's
kind of
heavy.
goes in circles.
Full
right?
circle. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
yeah.
So start playing in bands. What's the deal?
Start playing in bands. So since my brother was a guitar player, back in Cheshire now, I grew up a street away from Vic and Christine.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so now we're starting to play, in bands a little bit. And, I know when Vic was on, he mentioned the Trippers was his first band. I'm probably one of the few people that actually remember the Trippers.
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
And his band, like our band, had 2 guitar players,
Oh, boy.
no bass player.
Wow.
Seemed to be kind of a thing at the time, actually.
Yeah, right. It's
Right.
just a thing because there's no bass players.
There's no bass players, right.
It's not like on purpose thing.
So
it's just
yeah,
a
we
thing.
had 2 lead singers and we had 2 guitar players, and I was the drummer. The
Yeah.
band was called The Spectacles,
Okay.
and we're playing around Cheshire and things of that nature. Winning a couple of battles of the bands, and kind of getting out there like this is the gigging thing. So eventually Joe, who was one of the singers, went out and bought a Hackstrom 2 bass and a Gibson Atlas amp.
Yeah.
And now we're in business.
Yeah.
So,
Finally. Bass
yeah.
player. You were the first band around. Oh, man. Spectacles have a bass player.
Right. Yeah. That was a big deal.
Boo!
Right.
Yeah. They ruined the thing.
Right. Yeah.
That's funny.
So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's when I first started gigging,
Yeah.
and
There was a scene, some kind of scene.
it was a little scene, and I have to tell you, like playing these gigs at the youth center and stuff like that, it was a lot of fun, but also I got a chance to see some really, really great bands too, and especially the Wild Weeds with Al, and that band to me was just like the epitome of a blue-eyed soul rock band, and not only their original stuff, but the covers they were doing, Temptations covers and Four Top stuff.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
It was just unbelievable seeing them live.
Yeah.
So
I bet.
inspiring.
Yeah, I bet.
And see, what Al's doing today with Jim Chapdelaine
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
So-
But yeah. Talk about full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been an Al fan, but second generation kind of. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So then after I left Cheshire, I went to UVM for a year. I was studying music theory there,
Okay.
and I didn't really like it. I was away from my drums,
Oh boy.
and I decided to transfer to Berkeley,
Okay.
which I did. So I transferred to Berkeley in Boston, and I was in instrumental performance,
Okay.
which was a professional diploma program.
Imagine that.
Yeah. And that's where I met Jim Chapdelaine.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. This is all making sense now.
Right.
Yeah. So there you are. Oh, that's right. We talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you Jim's. Okay.
So Jim
there
and
you
I, got into a band together called Tunnel Vision.
Okay.
And
A lot of the spectacles, tunnel vision. the band called the Detached Retinas comes later. The
Right.
Cataracts, whatever.
right. The Cataract 3, right?
Yeah.
That's great. So anyway, Jim and I played in that band for a little while.
Tunnel vision.
Tunnel vision.
Did you know him from back in Connecticut?
No, I didn't.
Wow. Yeah. So
I didn't. So honestly, I don't know how we met.
wow.
If it was in an ear training class or an arranging class.
Imagine that.
Like
Then you figure out Al is in there. Everything
Yeah.
is in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, Jim got curtailed, when he wound up with his illness.
That's what I hear.
And we were together at the time, actually. And I have to say, you have to know Jim Chapdelaine, but the guy has got an incredible sense of humor. And throughout that entire time, John, he never lost that sense of humor.
I can't. Yeah.
It was unbelievable,
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So he wound up moving back to Connecticut
Yep.
and started gigging a lot, actually.
Yep.
And I stayed in Boston.
Yeah. Did you get that degree?
No.
Oh boy.
3 years. I didn't
Wow.
finish. Yeah.
How come?
Folks got divorced.
Okay.
The funds ran out,
Gotcha.
and I started playing in bands.
Okay. You did get your degree, just not
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at one point, we were all kind of, we were renting these big houses up and around Boston. We would move every year.
Yeah.
We would never stay in the same place for 2 years, basically. So every year we'd move to another big house. 6 of us. 10
Wow,
of
that's
us.
exciting.
It was exciting. Yeah. And, we're playing in bands, basically, all on food stamps.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody's making any money
Right.
at all.
But you're rocking and rolling.
But we're rock and rolling.
Yeah.
We're having some fun. And so then I had to get a gig, basically. So I wound up applying at the Harvard Coop
Okay.
in Harvard Square.
Okay. Wow.
And I started there as a floater, just as a cashier.
Yeah.
Just trying to make ends meet. And they had an opening in the record department.
Hey.
So I flew down there and I said, hey, I'm the guy for the job.
Me.
Right? And the manager said I was going to give me a test.
Okay.
And he said, what were the 3 record labels that John Coltrane recorded for?
Oh. I know. No. I have my guess, but I'm going to tell you if I'm right. I'm not going to say them out loud.
All right. So I said, well, I know that most of his stuff was on Impulse.
Sure.
And I said, I know that he did a bunch of stuff on Blue Note.
Okay. No, I'm already wrong.
And I said, I also think he did some stuff on Prestige.
That would have been one of my guesses.
And he said, you got the gig.
Really?
That was it.
You got all 3 of them?
I got all 3.
Wow, yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that.
So I got the gig as the jazz bar.
Whoa. Just like that.
Just like that.
Well, I mean, that's legit though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would have to know that.
Yeah. Well, I was collecting, I was collecting a lot of jazz.
So he
stuff
just
at the time.
figuring out that you must have a Coltrane collection. So
Yeah, which I did, And actually, when I was at UVM for that year, I had all my jazz albums with me.
yeah.
Dolphy Records and Roland Kirk Records and Pharoah Sanders Records.
Yeah.
And
he just died. Pharoah Sanders
I
just died
know,
like last week
unfortunately, yeah.
or something.
Everybody else on my floor, John, Grateful Dead, and the Allman Brothers.
Right. So you're like the jazz.
That's it.
You're the jazz cat.
I'm like the weird guy.
Yeah.
you
Was
know.
Jim a jazz cat?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I figured he
Yeah,
might
as a matter of
be.
fact, I think his favorite album at the time when we were at Berkeley together was Basic Miles.
Oh.
Miles Davis. It was actually kind of a compilation, but it had a version of Stella by Starlight on it.
Okay.
That Jim was enthralled by that.
Oh, wow.
Actually,
Okay.
I remember Jim doing an arrangement,
Yeah.
a guitar arrangement of that tune.
That's cool.
For Berkeley.
So you're the jazz cat now. You got the gig at the
yeah. So I'm the jazz cat at the Harvard Coop, 4 stores in Boston, nationally known account because full catalog stores.
Wow.
I had no limits in terms of open to buy. I could buy whatever I wanted, in any quantity.
Wow.
And, records were popping. So we were doing 90% vinyl,
Wow.
about 10% cassette.
And you just kind of figure what people's buying. Was it done back then? You just wrote it down.
It's all written down on a clipboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody,
All on a clipboard.
and you have to kind of
Yeah.
make a thing. We
Yeah.
need more of these, less of these.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it was a lot of fun, actually. And it was a crash course for me because I learned so much.
Yeah, I
I
bet.
did it for 5 years.
Wow.
And I did it full time for 2 years, John. And then my band, I was playing in a different band up there called the Magnetos. And the band was doing great.
Okay.
So I was actually gigging with them a couple nights a week.
Okay.
Right. We were doing 3-nighters up in Maine.
Sure.
And so I decided to cut back my hours. So I became a 30-hour-a-week guy at the Coop, still having the jazz bar responsibility. So it was great because I had the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it was that, since you're working in a record store and a high-profile one at that, it's like you got tickets for every show that came through Boston.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're the
So
guy.
we were going out, every night to the Jazz Workshop and Paul's Mall and Boston
So
Garden.
you saw it all.
We saw it all at the
Wow.
time, Not only jazz, but all the pop stuff that was
That's
going on,
heavy.
the rock stuff. It was great. It
Wow.
was
So
a
you
lot
were
of fun.
right where you wanted to be.
I was in the sweet spot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was really in the
That's
sweet
exciting.
spot. Yeah. It was a lot of fun, I have to say, Unfortunately, there's no more record stores, so you
Yeah.
can't do that anymore, But the other thing was that it was a springboard to get into a record company. Because at the time, this is in the early 80s, all of the record companies had local offices.
Okay.
So they had branch offices in all the major cities,
Sure.
right? Because retail was all spread out.
Yep.
So, there were accounts in Boston, there were
Sure.
accounts in Connecticut.
So you started thinking, hey, what's next?
So I was meeting all these guys that were in, sales guys and merchandisers, marketing people, promotion people.
And they're trying to
records.
schmooze you.
They're trying to schmooze me, right? Because I'm buying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But, so whenever I would hear of a job opening, I would call the branch manager and say, hey, I'm interested in a job. So
Wow.
I interviewed for a couple of different companies and didn't get the gig. Excuse me. And then I wound up
Did you
getting a
want
gig.
to leave the coop, or you just
I did.
you were
yeah.
it was getting to be time?
It was going to be time.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was,
As
fi-
these
it
things
was 5
happen.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're interviewing with companies. Did you interview with the three that Coltrane, Impulse and Blue Note, and what was the other one?
Prestige.
Prestige.
Excuse me. No. None of those. But I did an interview with Warner's and CBS and Polygram. And I
Wow.
wound up getting a gig with Polygram.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hey, that's cool.
So
What's the title? Like, how do you?
field merchandiser.
Okay. What's that?
It was spending my life in my car, basically. I had 6 states under my
Wow. All of New England.
responsibility. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I was going out, visiting stores,
Uh-huh.
putting up displays,
Yeah.
checking stock,
Wow.
and actually they would assign some accounts for me to sell. So
Okay.
I started selling at the time as well, mostly mom and pop accounts,
Wow.
But Polygram at the time was the major distributor for classics.
Okay.
Deutsche Grammophon, Philips in London, they had the big 3 basically.
Okay.
So now I was kind of a crash course in classics for me
Wow.
because I really didn't know that much about
Yeah.
classical
Yeah.
music.
Sure.
And I found the best way to sell.
Were you disappointed? You wanted to be the jazz guy, or you were just like, all right,
Oh
I'll
no,
learn
we had
this.
Verve as well. We had Verve.
Oh, wow.
Label as well. A lot of Japanese imports
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. So we had a little bit of share of jazz, but no. So it was great because it was mostly the pop stuff that I was working.
Okay.
At the time it was Bon Jovi and
Okay. And this
Def
this is what
Leppard
year?
and John Cougar. This is 1984.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
So, yeah.
So you're just out there on the road,
So I'm out there on the road
still playing.
doing my stuff, still playing.
Wow.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny because I didn't want my boss to find out that I was playing.
Really?
It's like I had to keep that life secret.
Wow.
So I was gigging
Why?
because it would be like a conflict, I thought.
Okay.
Maybe it's just my imagination.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like I said, I can't let them know that I'm not gigging.
He never asked you if you were a musician?
No.
Wow.
But some of the people that I worked with came out and saw our gigs.
Oh, no.
So, but they never let on. But anyway, my boss, he was a good guy. His name was Lefty.
Okay.
Like typical record guy, right?
Yeah, right, I guess.
But no, he was a good guy. But, at the time, it was all retail.
No first or last name, just Lefty. That's it. His name's,
Lefty.
it's a boy. His name, we'll name him Lefty.
Right. Lefty from Boston.
Yeah. Hey.
So it was good, though. It was good. So, yeah, so I was doing both.
Wow.
And
That's
so,
crazy.
Yeah, I really loved it. I was really, really, again, I was in the sweet spot, but
Doing
now,
it.
now I'm on the other side
Yeah.
because I'm now the guy walking into record stores with promos and
Okay.
saying, hey, man, I need that window
Yeah.
because I got Rainbow coming through town.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it was like you have to grease the hand a little bit,
Yeah.
not payola or anything like
Right.
that.
But do I want to know?
No, but it was that was
Yeah.
part of the gig,
Yeah.
So it was fun. So I spent a lot of time in my car driving around,
Yeah.
record store after record store after record store.
Wow.
Hey, I'm Bob from Polygram. Got a couple of displays to put up. Sure thing. Here's a couple of things for you to play in store. Blah
Yep.
blah blah.
Yep.
And then I started selling, which was great. So
Wow.
I found the best tactic for selling classical music was to listen to what the buyers had to say.
Yeah, right.
And let them speak, because certainly they knew a lot more about it than I did.
I see.
So I'd walk in with a new Herbert von Karajan album,
Okay.
and they'd be like, "Wow,
Oh,
this is
wow.
unbelievable! It's another Beethoven 9."
Wow.
I'm like, "Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's great.
So you just
How many would you like?"
Yeah, right. So you're just figuring it out, letting them tell you, but
Yeah.
then acting like you know, kind of,
Yeah.
a little bit. Huh.
So anyway, yeah. So
So you're doing it.
so I'm doing it. So that's when I became a label guy.
Wow. Do you want to? Is this?
Should I do it?
Yeah. Is this
should
the
we
time?
unveil?
Yeah. Why not?
Or you have to tell me if the whole thing shows up or not.
How? Yeah, I will. How old is that shirt? Is that from back then?
No, it's actually. Is it there?
Yeah.
Abel?
Yeah.
Label?
Guy. Go the other way. This way. Go this way. Yeah. There you go.
Oh, there
yeah,
you go.
It says label guy. He's the label guy.
Right.
Yeah. You could just have that. Did you do that back in the day?
No, so this was
Show up at
actually
gigs. You could just show up with that shirt and get in anywhere.
No. It was actually this was actually for a video shoot.
Oh, okay.
And this is years later when I worked for BMG for Bertelsmann Music Group.
Wow.
And they were shooting videos, kind of training videos,
Okay.
and they needed a label guy.
Uh-huh.
And so this is my outfit
Oh, I got you.
for the
Just
video
to yeah, this is this.
to
Yeah.
distinguish me from the retail guy
Oh,
or the distribution guy.
right.
Yeah.
So this is instead of
I was the label guy.
right. Yeah, that's cool. What'd they do? What happened in the video? Label guy, like
It was
Joe
a- it
Walsh
was-
comes over and blasts champagne in your face or something.
No, it was about kind of protocol.
Okay.
Like protocol things for the distribution company. Like, these are the things that you do. These are the things that the label guy does.
Wow. Did
You
you
know?
get any of that training?
No,
Yeah, right.
it's all, training is on the job training.
Yeah.
There is no training.
You remember your first day? You're like, I'm going out to a record store. I'm going to walk in and I gotta
Yeah.
make something happen with these people.
Well, I had, been on the other end, on the receiving end for
Oh, I
5
got you.
years.
Did you actually know some of the people that you were now trying to hustle, I guess, or whatever? Did you know any of them or no? Not
I
really.
knew some of them because, at the time, not only the record companies, but the record companies were really close, friendship-wise.
Okay.
So it was not a big deal. Like if Warner's was having a ZZ Top party someplace,
Yeah.
that people from other record companies would show up
I got you.
and have a few drinks or whatever.
Try to get in Dusty Hill's ear and tell him, hey, man.
Exactly. So there was like everybody kind of knew each other. It was
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
a fraternity
Wow.
of record companies.
Wow.
So it was very friendly.
Yeah.
It was competition, but it was still very friendly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So everybody kind of knew each other.
That's wild.
And then I would just, develop a relationship with store managers, basically.
Sure.
And
Sure. Why
you know,
not?
I'd spend a day
One
in
big party.
Providence, and then go to Hartford the next day, and then
Yeah.
go up to
One big party.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was work. too,
Kinda.
you know,
Wow.
So
That's exciting.
yeah,
That's
it was
cool.
great. And unfortunately, there's that was a really easy way of getting into a record company, because record stores,
I see.
were where you met.
So you kind of
people.
followed the a path in a
yeah,
way.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys that I worked with at the Coop became very successful record executives.
Hey.
Actually. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that was a good, what do you call it?
Good stepping stone.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
A field
Yeah.
for people to
Probably
wow,
the
that's kinda
most
cool.
famous is a guy by the name of Jeff Jones.
Okay.
And Jeff was the rock buyer when I was the jazz buyer.
Okay.
And Jeff went on to various marketing jobs at different labels, primarily within CBS. Became head of the catalog division at Sony.
Okay.
Sony Legacy. And then he got hired by Apple,
Oh.
not the computer company, but
Yeah.
the label.
Yeah, sure.
And he's now overseeing Apple Music
Oh.
on behalf of
Wow. Yeah,
Paul
sure.
McCartney.
So they're
and
involved in
Ringo
all the reissues.
Yeah, yeah. So he's doing the films. He's working on the films and also doing the reissues.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah. So, matter of fact, they're reissuing Revolver.
Oh,
I think, is
I know.
The next one.
Oh God. Oh, dude, I pre-ordered so hard.
Oh, you
I
did?
strained my finger. Yeah,
So
I'm
what is
just.
it, like 4 albums and
We don't have time to talk about.
right?
It.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's how big a Beatles? Do you know the whole thing? Whatever they.
No, you'd have to tell me.
They can remix.
Yeah.
There's been new technology now recently developed because of Peter Jackson taking the camera audio of Let It Be and turning it into beautiful stereo. They developed an artificially intelligence they can extract, so they can remix tracks that were folded in, like Revolver. They would take a 4-track machine and mix 3 tracks down to 1.
Yeah.
They were able to now extract all of those and reconstruct a mix.
Right.
So it's cutting edge crazy. Like when they started the campaign with Sgt. Pepper, like in 2017, we thought that they would never be able to remix anything earlier than Pepper because Sgt. Pepper, you have to stop me. They were using 2 machines, so they were filling 4 onto 1 track. Mm-hmm. Well, they found the original 4-track, so they were able to unfold everything to remix Pepper, and then they went forward from there because they could. And it was always like, so you can't do anything before Pepper. And it was like, no. And then all of a sudden, this technology emerged because of Let It Be, that you're able to remix. And then, they asked Giles Martin, George Martin's son, so should we expect everything before that? And he's like, well, the technology exists, but you can't say anything. So anyway, wow, I just wasted minutes.
So that's Jeff.
Wow, that's exciting.
My good
He
buddy.
knows all about it.
He knows all about it. Yeah, he's a terrific guy. He's a real down-to-earth guy, and just
cool.
He's great.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's amazing.
He did okay.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Did you at any point did you still feel like, did you have musical aspirations, and did you feel like, were you still a musician and this was just your side thing, or like how do you?
Yeah, it's one of those things where.
Like, did you just realize I'm a label guy now who plays music, or am I a musician who works for a label?
Well, I'm always a musician.
Okay. Yeah, I guess
that's in my blood, basically.
Yeah.
The issue was that, I worked for Polygram for 3 years.
Okay.
And then I was making $14,000 a year.
Yeah, right. Well, back then.
But playing also.
Yeah.
So I was playing, I was getting money by playing gigs. And then RCA called me. They had an opening for a similar position to what I was doing.
Sure.
It was $17,000 in a company car.
Yeah, right.
What would you do?
Yeah, right. Okay.
I took this gig.
Hello, RCA.
Yeah. So that was 84.
Yeah.
Wow. And because at the time RCA owned Hertz Corporation, so they had a sweetheart deal with rental cars.
Gotcha.
So everybody in the company had a Hertz rental car.
Hey.
So anyway, I took the gig.
Who was on RCA back then?
It was it was actually RCA, A&M, and Arista.
Okay.
But RCA Rick Springfield was probably one of the biggest acts at the time.
On Arista?
No, on RCA.
Okay.
On RCA,
wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so he was really hitting it at the time, actually. But they also had A&M Records.
Okay.
So they had the Police and the Go-Go's and Joe Jackson, all the great stuff, and the IRS stuff, REM. And in Arista had a deal with Jive Records, so they had Billy Ocean and Samantha Fox and a lot of hip-hop stuff.
Okay.
Early hip-hop stuff.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
As well as the stuff that Clive Davis was doing.
Wow. Okay.
Hall & Oates. Actually,
yeah.
Hall & Oates. So anyway.
Oh, right.
It was the 3 labels. That's when consolidation really started beginning in the record business. You know, because in Boston, when I was there were 6 major distribution companies. There was Polygram, there was WEA, WEA, Warner's, there was Sony, CBS at the time, EMI, which was Capitol basically, and I don't know, am I missing one? Anyway, there were 6 basically. Huh. And then, as the record business was maturing, all the smaller independent labels started getting eaten up, and bought for big bucks, and now there are 3 majors.
Yeah.
Which is MCA was the other one. So it's Universal, which owns MCA, and Warner's. And Sony.
Wow, that's it.
3, yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, I went to RCA in '84, and then 5 months later, a sales gig opened in New York City. And my boss said, "Are you interested?" And I said, "Yeah." So I flew to New York and interviewed for the gig, and I wound up getting the gig.
Wow. Begin the New York City adventure.
Now all of a sudden I'm in New York, and I'm a sales rep, actually, full-time sales rep. So kind of moved up a notch in the ladder.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
in your Hertz car?
My head's spinning.
Yeah.
I had to give up the car, actually, because
you're not on the road.
No, I was on the road actually. So no, you're right. I didn't give up the car. As a matter of fact, I got a Cutlass Supreme, which for some reason we called it the Ghetto Cruiser. But anyway,
Right, and the license plate was Liberal Guy,
yeah,
or whatever.
right, yeah. So anyway, yeah. But no, I did have a company. Yeah, I did have a company car. So I was living in the Holiday Inn in 57th Street
Wow.
for about 6 weeks, kind of getting my feet wet.
Yeah.
And then I wound up having to go to New Jersey to pick up this company car.
You had to quit your band.
So that is it. Back to your question. So now I'm a full-time record guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not playing.
Yeah. They got you for $3 more grand in the company car. They got you to quit your dream.
Right. So,
Damn.
but thankfully that only lasted 30 years.
Oh. Wow.
So, yeah. So,
Wow.
So, the record business in New York, in the 80s,
Sure.
mid 80s was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, there were sharks in Boston for sure, but the real sharks lived in New York.
Wow. They're there waiting for you.
They're waiting for me.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
That's exciting.
it was exciting. Yeah.
Did you made it?
I kind of made it. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It was kind of like.
Did you think you didn't know? I'm just going to do this and we're going to sink or
You know
swim.
what? It's funny because I had a great
People fail. I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean? Like you did it. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Well, it's funny because when I was thinking about taking the gig, I have a great stepfather who passed away. But anyway, he was a Bronx firefighter.
Okay.
Was his career. He was a
Yeah,
real
yeah.
salt of the earth guy. And I said, Al, I got to make a decision. Stay in Boston where I'm like,
Sure.
having an unbelievable time playing bands.
Yeah,
and
big fish
I
in
got
a
great-
small pond.
Right, right.
Kind of.
Or move to New York and be like the little guy, the new guy. And he said, Bob, you ain't going to do it any younger.
Wow.
And I said, you know what? You're right.
And you weren't settled down at this point. So
No, I was still
like,
single.
yeah. So
at
you're
the
just like
time.
whatever.
And so, yeah, it was terrific. The record business in New York was total mafia,
Oh, really?
especially RCA. I
Wow.
can't speak on behalf of the other record companies, but RCA was total.
In what way? Mafia in the business, or you just had to
Mafia-
deal with them to get
Mafia in the way that if your name was Italian, you had a much better chance of success
Whoa.
versus Anderson.
Sure.
Like, who's the Swedish guy?
Yeah. Wow.
So it was really.
So what'd you have to
interesting.
do? You have to whack someone to get.
No, you
look at
actually,
these tropes.
You had to be loyal to one
Yeah.
family or the other, basically.
Really?
Yeah. So the guy who hired me actually came from Boston. So I immediately kind of became his guy because I came from Boston as well.
Whoa.
So I was on the Boston family side versus the New York side.
Oh. So you're the interloper.
I'm the interloper.
Anderson.
I was the new guy.
Wow.
I was the new guy for like, I don't know,
Wow.
2-3 years,
Wow.
something like that.
But you dug in.
I dug in. Absolutely. Had to. You had to. You had no choice.
Man, that's
you know?
crazy. Was there any false move that would have gotten you a dirt nap or something? I wonder. Was your life in danger? The stakes are not that high.
The stakes are not that high, but there was a lot of dirty stuff going on,
Oh,
I have to say. Right?
Yeah.
Like crazy stuff,
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, but I guess that's for another time.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was,
I just
it was interesting.
curious.
So yeah, so
Wow.
I dug in, and so now I'm away from my instrument again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Just like at Berkeley, or at before Berkeley.
before Berkeley, when I was at UVM,
Yeah.
same deal,
Yeah.
But I said, hey, I'm still a musician. That's part of me.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then I started working for RCA, and kind of just was in the right place at the right time. And I survived a lot of the different transitions that took place in terms of senior management. A lot of people got blown out
Oh, okay.
for different reasons.
Wow.
And I kind of had the ability to evade that stuff and kind of work around it. So I was
Purposely? Or
purposely.
luck, or both?
It was one of those things where,
You saw. You're
You-
smart enough to see things.
you know which side you're on, basically. You know who's actually driving, right? Who's making the decisions,
Yeah.
things of that nature. You have to recognize that, but also you have to be very cautious,
I guess, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So you had a head for it.
I had a head for it.
You could
yeah.
see the big picture.
Yeah.
And just figure out how you're gonna.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it worked out for me because a
So
lot of the
people
people
washed
that I
out.
was, kind of had an alliance with were the ones that survived.
Wow.
So they got me to the next position,
Mm.
So after being a sales rep, I was a sales rep there for 3 years. They had a shift in terms of management, and I became the New York branch manager.
Whoa.
So all of a sudden, I had 12 people reporting to me.
Wow.
Versus having none reporting to me.
Yeah.
Before. So actually, it turned into a manager position. And it was great. At the time, I was probably 34, something like that. And so I think I was the youngest branch manager in the country.
Hey.
And in New York, that's where RCA was headquartered. So they were in the same building as us on 44th Street and 6th Avenue. Arista Records was on 57th Street.
Yeah.
So they were right down the block. A&M Records were in Hollywood, basically.
Okay.
But we were, the distribution company for those 3 labels.
Yeah.
So I was kind of in the hot seat because at the time, it's all physical product, basically.
Yeah.
And it's all about record stores. And what happened is a record executive from a label would come in from out of town for a show. They'd go to the bottom line. They'd walk over to Tower Records, 4th and Broadway, and they wouldn't find the record.
Right. This is a problem.
There's a problem.
Yeah, sure.
So I had to field a lot of those types of situations.
Wow.
And the thing about it is that
And you're the guy that gets
I'm
put
the
on
guy who gets the
blast.
call, right?
Yeah.
Because it all it basically it's not the sales guy who's going to get the call. It's going to be the branch manager. So you have to finesse those
Get a
types of
step ahead.
situations.
You got to be ahead.
You got to be ahead of it, and you also have to finesse the situations and be politically correct because you don't want to piss off the record executive
Okay.
who came in for the show, basically,
Right.
because it's going to go to the top.
Wow.
In my
So that's
company.
true management. You're dealing with
Yeah.
wise guys down here and trying to massage these guys up here.
Yeah,
There you are.
yeah. But everything we did was on behalf of the artist. Basically, that was really kind of rule number one. So it was really that was the passion. So not only was I driven by doing well in terms of sales, and we had forecasts and quota and all that stuff, and business plan, but it was also about building a relationship with the artists. And I always felt that I had an advantage because I was a musician.
Yep. That was going to be my
So I kind of
question.
speak to them on their own terms.
Okay.
And I was never starstruck
Okay.
by anybody.
I got you. Yeah.
Except for one time.
Uh-oh.
And it wasn't a musician, though. It was a prize fighter by the name of Lennox Lewis.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Uh-oh. What happened?
Came into the building once with one of the artists.
Oh, boy.
We had a rap artist on the roster. His name was Too Short.
Yep.
And Short brought in Lennox Lewis.
Wow.
And I had seen Lennox Lewis fight once before in Las Vegas.
Whoa.
And, he was like the pretty guy.
Yeah.
So he's 6'7", maybe?
Yeah,
6'8".
Imagine that.
He's enormous, but he's also a really great-looking guy. And I shook his hand, and I said, I can't believe I'm shaking this guy's hand. That to me was crazy.
Yeah.
So that was the one time that I was really kind of starstruck.
Meanwhile, Barry Manilow's standing there, and
He's
you're like,
fine.
whatever.
Barry,
Whatever.
What's up, man?
Wow. Did you surprise yourself? Like, what abilities do you think you had that allowed you to? Were you surprised that you could maneuver in this, or were you just kind of doing it as you go and just going, okay? Like, did you know you were good at it? Like, how? It's a weird question, but did you surprise yourself, or were you like, I got this? Like, what do you think it is that you have that other people kind of washed out? And you said being a musician, probably you're able to keep your cool.
Yeah, and I think that's it, because the one thing that people would always say to me was that no matter how crazy it gets, you always seem to be calm.
Wow.
How do you do it?
How do you do it?
How do you do it? And me, it just became kind of, I don't know, that's my mantra or whatever,
Just be cool.
Yeah. But I would, you're in a marketing meeting with 30 people, basically.
Yeah.
And you're in the hot seat.
Mm.
And
they want to know why wasn't this in the store?
Yeah. They want to know what are
whatever.
you shipping?
Yeah.
What's the number?
Wow.
And what's the first week sales going to look like? What's your prediction? and what's going to happen next week.
Wow. You have to have an answer,
You have to have an answer.
whether you even know the answer.
Well, that's the thing, because I worked with a lot of very sharp people,
Wow.
and there's a lot of,
Wow.
there's a lot of baggage about record companies and the major companies and all that stuff. And I'm sure there've been a tremendous amount of bad deals made in the past, and people have made bad decisions or whatever, and artists have gotten ripped off.
Yeah.
However, there's another side to the record business, which is a very mature business, and it's a very smart business as well. So what became the way the business evolved really was a matter of survival, number one.
Yeah.
But also was about new technology, right?
Mm.
And how you introduce new technology.
Mhm.
Like I said earlier, when I started, it was vinyl, and then we transitioned to CD. That was a crazy transition.
Yeah.
Because
And
especially
they made it.
and we made it.
Yeah.
But and then we transitioned from that into digital, which was a whole nother crazy transition from a consumer experience as well as an artist experience. It's like, how do I get paid now? What do you mean? There's no transaction. There's
I'm
a
still
digital.
trying to figure that
It's
out.
an MP3.
Yeah.
And now it's streaming, obviously, which is a whole nother situation. So you had to kind of stay ahead of the curve in terms of what was happening technologically speaking, but also have a good understanding for the music. And I think that's a key too, because I think that there are a lot of people that got into the record business that really didn't have a good understanding.
That's what I was going to ask too.
Music,
Is that in your experience?
Yeah.
Less musicians.
Yeah, less musicians and less people that actually know kind of the technical side of music as well.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's
heavy.
It's a mixture,
So you had the right mix.
I had the right mix just in terms of, my attitude was always, what, if I fail, I mean, it's because nothing I did wrong, basically. I'm going to try to do the best I possibly can,
And you feel like you did. You took care of your part of it.
And by nature, I'm a very competitive person, but I don't show it outwardly.
Uh-huh.
But I like to compete.
Okay.
So I was fortunate because after I became the branch manager, I started getting job offers from labels.
Oh, okay.
And I actually had 3 offers simultaneously. I had a label offer from A&M, one from Polygram, and another from RCA.
Wow.
I wound up staying with RCA, basically.
Okay.
But that led to positions on the national staff there. So I became, director of product development, director of national sales, blah, 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 East Coast regional sales. Until finally, in 1997, I got a call to join Jive Records as the head of sales, national sales. And at the time, they were the largest independent record company in the world.
What year is this?
97.
Okay.
And so I wound up taking the gig. And Clive Calder, who was the chairman there, South African, very, very smart guy, really understood kind of a step ahead of what was happening in the record business.
Yeah.
And he's the guy who spotted the Backstreet Boys, basically.
Okay.
And I came in just as the pop explosion was starting to take place.
Wow. Yeah. Sure.
And so I worked with Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys early on before anybody in the United States actually knew about them.
Wow.
Because the Backstreet Boys actually blew up in Germany first.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so, my new boss now called me and said, hey, I want to take you up to Montreal, see the Backstreet Boys. I'm like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
And we went to the Molson Arena in Montreal, sold out arena.
Yeah. Like it's bound to happen.
Screaming. It's like seeing the Beatles.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm sitting like in the...
You're seeing the future.
I'm seeing like, this is crazy. All the parents are outside like waiting for the kids for the show to end. And it's like nuts. And the kids are going nuts and they all have signs. And like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
And so I got a chance to be at the forefront of launching that pop explosion. Wow. So it was timing. It was really great timing for me because, you
got lucky a bunch of times.
We got lucky, yeah.
Wow.
So, so I stayed with Jive for the next 12 years.
Wow.
And until Clive sold the company to BMG.
Wow.
For $2.7 billion.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. So he did okay. Listen to Cayman Islands. He got no tax there, so.
And that was when did it all. So how did you? Are you still in it? How'd you get out of it?
Out of the record business?
Yeah.
So I stayed in it. Again, a lot of consolidation. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
And you still surviving. You're like
still survived. So basically, I had come from Bertelsmann because Bertelsmann had bought RCA Corporate
Okay.
from GE, right? So
Okay.
Bertelsmann Music Group. They had the record club here.
Okay.
Private German company, actually. So BMG was distributing Jive Records. Jive was not owned by BMG, but they were our distribution company.
Okay.
So I was heading the sales. So I was directing the distribution company
Okay.
on how to sell Jive Records, basically.
Wow.
Right. But, again, we were independent. And so we tried to do everything opposite the way the majors did it.
Okay.
We called it major label disease.
Okay.
Like do everything you possibly can to avoid what a major label would do.
Give me an example.
Like, a major label would check the box and say, hey, we should do this particular television show. Or, we should put this artist out on tour. Or we should come with the album first and then deliver a single. Whatever the case is in terms of the marketing plan. We always said, let's turn it upside down and do it a different way.
Oh, wow.
So let's try different things, actually. So
Yeah,
it was
right.
a very entrepreneurial type of record company.
Okay.
And again, since it was owned by one guy,
Yeah.
there was no strings attached to a corporation.
Oh, wow. So he
But
just,
we had the cloud
so you
of
could
BMG.
switch it up every time.
Yeah, we could switch it up every time.
Yeah.
But we had the cloud of the distribution company of BMG Distribution.
Okay.
'Cause that's what RCA, A&M, and Arista turned into BMG Distribution.
Okay.
And in 2003, they formed a joint venture with Sony Music. Because at that point, digital was taking place.
Yep.
The record company at the bottom was kind of falling out.
Yep.
There was file sharing going on. The record
Yep.
companies were freaking out, saying,
Yeah.
what are we going to do about Napster? And we better, have the RIAA arrest these people who are file sharing and all that. It was crazy, stupid stuff that took place.
What-
The record company shot themselves in the foot, basically.
That's what I was going to ask.
Plus, they're
is-
taking all the heat for the pricing of CDs at the same time. One
Yeah,
CD,
they got caught out.
You're right. So they got nailed on a lot of different stupid things.
And how did that all affect? Did you see that? Did anyone see that coming? File sharing?
Oh, yeah.
You saw it.
Yeah. We saw it coming, but
You couldn't
but they made the wrong.
couldn't restructure quick enough.
Right. They tried content protection and all that type of stuff, and it was a nasty time.
Just technology moved too fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So the bond was kind of falling out of the record business at the time, and so BMG said after 5 years, we're done.
Whoa.
You can have our half. So it became 100%.
So they just threw in the towel.
They
Like,
threw in
"We're
the
not gonna
towel,
do
but
that."
now they're back in the business again. But anyway, so now I'm a Sony employee,
Wow.
but I'm still the head of sales for RCA.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
it's kind of the way it worked.
Wow. So all of a sudden, you can't even tell who people you were competing with, you're now working for, or it's all just something like that.
So what happened was when BMG bought Jive,
Mm-hmm.
they actually merged Jive with RCA.
Okay. Oh,
So
okay.
for a short time, it was called RCA Jive.
Okay.
I became the head of sales
Right.
for the combined label, basically. But I had all the Jive artists still on my roster. I knew all of them.
Yeah.
But now I was getting introduced to the RCA artists.
Okay. They were all different since you were there.
Which were different. Yeah, since I had been
Yeah.
there, they were all different, actually.
Wow.
Because it was Clive Davis's company at the time.
Mm.
So I worked for Mr. Davis.
Yeah.
I worked for two different Clives, Clive Calder and Clive Davis.
I see. Wow.
And so actually, so I did that for 6 years. I was head of sales for 6 years for RCA. Clive had left the company, not fully, basically. He was still chairman emeritus.
Okay.
He was still overseeing A&R on a couple of projects like Jennifer Hudson and Barry Manilow and
Sure.
Rod Stewart. So he was doing those, but he had his office up on the BMG building there, or the Sony Music building. And so I did that for 6 years, and in 2014, I left the company
Okay.
in a restructuring.
Wow. You're finally like, I'm going to get out now.
Well, it was kind of a little bit of a push.
Okay.
So it was 30 years
Wow. Hey,
from 84 to 2014.
golden handshake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but it was.
So you're
great.
like, did you agree that it was time to go? Everybody, you were just kind of like,
Yeah,
okay.
I kind of saw the cracks,
Yeah.
and saying,
You didn't know if you were gonna make the next thing.
Yeah, it was one of those things, and I was actually getting a little tired of it too.
Okay.
You know, but I have to say that career-wise,
Yep.
it was the best thing that I could have done
Huh.
because I was getting paid to listen to music.
Hey. Wow.
So, I mean, there's nothing better than that.
So then what happened? You just.
So I said, now I've got to get a real job.
Oh wow! After all this.
So I opened Krusty Tubs with Tom Smith.
Oh wow! That's real. Wow. A real job.
No, so I did that. So I said, I always wanted to open a vintage drum store online. So we did that.
Yeah.
It's about 7 years ago, actually.
That's cool.
And so, because we both have vintage drum collections.
Sure.
And I continued playing, throughout those years,
Yeah.
but I wasn't playing professionally anymore.
Okay.
I was doing some church gigs and, something here, fill in here and there, but not really playing.
Yeah.
So I said, I better get my chops back
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
speed at some point.
Oh boy.
So I did that with Tom, and then I, got into radio as well.
Dave, do you have to leave right after this? We're going to go long. We're going a little long, right? Okay, cool. Okay, we're here. All right, go ahead.
So I started volunteering at Wpkn in Bridgeport,
Oh, wow.
and I got an on-air shift.
Wow.
So I have a show there,
Yeah.
and that was in 2015. And then also I saw an ad for a kind of an advertising marketing position with WMNR, which is a classical fine arts station in Monroe, Connecticut. So I applied for that position. I got that gig. And so I now have a show there as well.
Hey.
So I have a Sunday night show at WMNR called Fine Arts Forum. And I'm interviewing conductors and artistic directors and music directors and performers. Great stuff.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, on the classical side primarily.
Yep.
But also doing some theater and
You had
stuff
some
like that.
experience. You got your experience with that back in the day.
Yeah. And then I'm also have my own show, which is called A Little Bit of Everything, and I can play anything that I want on Peckman. So I have a pretty sizable collection of music at home
I bet.
that I can pull from.
Wow.
And I get servicing on a couple of different companies, so actually I'm hearing new stuff as well.
Oh, cool.
So I'm doing a mix of new and vintage.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So they're still like kind of like you're the guy, like you say. They want to know what you think.
Yeah. And I
That's
get
cool.
to interview, and meet people. That to me is kind of the best part because, there's a lot of stuff going on in the arts community here in Connecticut. There's a ton of stuff going on. If you dig for it,
Yeah.
man, it's unbelievable how many talented people there are.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's great.
Yeah,
And
that's cool.
yeah, and I see, friends like Vic
Yep.
and, Jim
Yeah.
and Tom and a lot of these guys that are still in yourself, playing and getting out there.
Yeah.
And you guys are, it's just great to see that, So I had a chance to play with the Zambonis for a short time.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
with
sure.
them for about a year and a half.
Yeah, cool.
And we had some great shows
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to get back, on the best seat of the house for a little while there.
Sure.
And now I'm playing a little bit here and there, but I don't have anything, formal. So if you have
right.
anything for me, John, I'd be more than happy to take the gig.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, I will. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Hey,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So it's
That's
great.
cool.
But yeah, it's all about, it's been,
That's exciting. That's an exciting story.
Mm,
Went all the way, pretty much.
mm. So I wish that I had written a lot of this stuff down, because there's a lot of funny things that happened along the way.
It's never too late.
right?
Is it too late?
So no, I'm actually writing them down now.
Give me a couple,
Couple of funny ones?
I guess,
All right. So,
that people would find interesting.
all right, maybe
Yeah.
this is interesting.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. So I'm with Polygram in Boston. I'm a merchandiser, field merchandiser. I'm covering the 6 states.
Okay.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
putting up displays, all this stuff. Kiss has a new album,
Called?
Creatures of the Night.
Yeah, sure.
You know that one?
Yeah,
The blue and gold cover.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to do an in-store.
Oh boy.
That's in my purview. I'm an in-store guy. I'm retail, right?
Uh-oh.
Strawberries in Worcester.
Oh, wow.
They're playing the Worcester Centrum
Sure.
that night.
Sure.
So I go to the strawberry store.
Yeah.
I've got these rolls of Creatures of the Night posters.
Yeah.
And the night before, I had cut out these huge Kiss letters, the Kiss logo,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so I get to the store in the afternoon. The store is at 7 o'clock or something like that. And the store, it's a huge store, by the way. And the store manager says to me, Bob, take the whole back wall. It's all yours.
Hey.
Really? Whoa.
Cool. Perfect.
So this is like a 30-foot wall.
Yeah.
Right? And there's actually an entrance to the store which is where the band's going to be.
Yeah.
Gene and the guys are going to come in through this way, and they're going to stay behind a counter and sign the album. So I spend the entire afternoon putting up Creatures of the Night posters, like the entire back wall.
Yeah.
So by this time, the store is filling up with all these Kiss fans.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like it's got hundreds of these kids that are there to meet Kiss.
Yeah.
Right? And they're all got Kiss T-shirts.
Yeah, and there you are.
And there I am. So I've got the ladder, and so I grab the big K.
Yeah.
And I go up the ladder, and I put the K up there, and all the kids are going like, yes!
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, like screaming. So I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Wow.
So like
Just for the
like
K.
I'm a rock star.
Yeah.
Back down the ladder, get the eye, right?
Yeah.
Same deal. Up the ladder, the kids are screaming.
This is
They're
great.
going nuts.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, so I get the 2 S's up there. The kids are like, unbelievable. This is like, they can't believe this is happening before their eyes.
Yeah.
You know, and anyway.
They came in the other door.
They come in the back way. And I just remember I'm sitting next to Gene, and the first thing he does is he turns around and he looks at the wall behind him. He goes, "It's all right."
That's it.
And that was it.
That's all you got
That's
for
all I
that.
got. Yeah.
Well,
That,
hey,
that was all I wanted.
that's right. That's all
Right?
you're ever gonna
That
get.
was all I'm going to get.
Yeah.
You know. So that was really a great experience. Just just seeing those kids so passionate about meeting Kiss that time.
That's funny.
But lots of different things. You know.
I thought you were gonna say they came in the other door and sat behind the counter that you'd like, oh no.
Wrong door.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Another time I had a band with me. A band was called German band, Fury and the Slaughterhouse.
Okay, I don't know.
The RCA band had like one single here in the States. This is when Tower Records were the big deal in New York City and HMV and the big superstores.
Sure.
And so I take Fury and the Slaughterhouse. None of the guys in the band speak English really to speak of, but I'm taking them around to retail, really just to do walkthroughs.
Sure.
Walkthrough is kind of like an informal in-store, right? You're not really selling.
Okay.
You're really just there to meet the managers and to say hi and
Gotcha.
stuff like that. And it's like kind of a PR visit, you know. So I have an intern with me in a rental car. Probably Hertz, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, we like go up to 86th Street to HMV, bring the band in the store. We meet the guys, all that stuff. Everything's great. We go to Tower 72nd Street, you know, same thing. And I said to the intern, your job is to stay in the car because it's parking in New York's crazy.
Sure.
We're just going to be in the store for 20 minutes.
Sure.
Basically. We're going to stay with the car.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Move it if you have to or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So we do that, and the guys have got a gig in Brooklyn that night, actually. And now we're getting to like the last store downtown, and we go in and we do this, you know, we shake the hands and kiss the babies, and everybody's cool. We come out, and I see the intern standing outside the car. And I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "I locked the keys in the car."
Oh, yeah.
I said, "No, you didn't really?" He goes, "Yeah." So now I've got the band, the tour manager with me. They're already late for sound check. They have to get to Brooklyn now. It's rush hour.
That is the most smashed window in history instantly.
And I'm like, gosh, you know, what to do?
Oh.
This guy walks down the street. He looks at me and goes, "You can't get in the car?" I said, "No, I can't."
Right.
He goes, "I'll get you in."
Yeah.
He whips out a blade
Yeah, sure.
in the windshield.
Yeah.
It's right. Pops the lock.
Off you go. Yeah.
So
only
anyway,
in New York.
Anyway, only in New York. Anyway,
Yeah.
but stuff like that, you know, it's just a lot of stories like that were not so funny at the time.
Were you cool then? Did you lose your cool
Of
then?
course I was cool. All right, last story.
Yeah.
Do you have time for one more?
Yeah.
All right, so we're at dinner at City Crab with the band OMD.
Okay.
Remember the band?
Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark.
Right, you got it. It's Andy McCluskey and
Yep.
one other guy. And at the time now, I'm a sales rep, so I'm with the A&M people, and we had accounts with us, and we had a buyer from Crazy Eddie with us.
Okay.
I was the Crazy Eddie sales rep, the King Carroll sales rep, and Nobody Beats the Wiz sales rep.
Wow.
But anyway, the buyer from Nobody Beats the Wiz was a very abrasive guy.
Okay.
Very abrasive.
Wow.
And
Worse than a Crazy Eddie guy?
Worse than Eddie Answer or Crazy Eddie.
Wow.
I did the commercials.
Oh, okay.
Kind of similar.
Yeah.
But anyway, so as we're having dinner, we're drinking.
Sure.
And we're getting drunk.
Sure.
Right. We're having a good time. There's like a lot of laughs. And now the buyer, who was my buyer from crazy yet. He's getting pretty abusive to me. And finally, Andy McCluskey looks at me and goes, "Mate, what's wrong with you?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "This guy's been hassling you all night.
Yeah,
you just sit there.
Yeah.
You don't do anything. You're like the Gandhi of the record business."
Hey, and the title was born.
And the title was born.
Yeah. Hey, man.
So that was Andy. So
Wow.
anyway, so it was a lot of fun.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Were you disappointed to leave the business, or were you just like, it was time?
Both.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, both. You know, it was time basically, and it was like, okay, you know, my job was a lot of travel.
Yeah.
And a lot of late nights.
Yeah.
And a lot of going to shows and showcases.
Yeah.
And sitting in a car service at 1:30 in the morning on Route 95.
Yeah. Yeah.
In traffic.
Yeah.
Knowing that I wasn't going to be home for probably another 45 minutes.
Yeah. Sure.
Knowing that I had to get up at 6 o'clock the next morning for a marketing meeting at 9:30 or whatever the case
Right.
is. It was like brutal stuff. You know, it was you know, pretty much 14-hour
So you did
days.
just every drop of blood you gave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I live
man.
in Easton now, but, you know, I took the train from Fairfield 21 years
Yeah. Yeah.
doing that commute, you know. And actually, when I was head of sales for Jive, they were located on 25th Street, so it was 3 trains each way.
Wow.
So it was the train to Grand Central, it was the shuttle to Times Square, and then the
So you
one-night
weren't
train.
crying when it was over. You were like, okay.
Yeah, it was like,
Kinda
okay,
like,
it's time
All
for
right, I'm
something
coming
new.
off the road.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, so I networked for like the next year.
Yeah.
I'd go into Manhattan and I'd, you know, have lunch with somebody and, you know, see somebody and talk about the possibility of a gig or whatever. But, you know, nothing really transpired. And I was like, you know what? Then the radio thing came up and I was like, you know what? I kind of like doing this.
Hey, that's cool.
And not getting on the train.
Yeah.
You know,
That's all right.
Yeah.
It kind of worked like it was supposed to, kind of, I guess.
I think it did.
in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah. And I've still got good friends that are in the business,
I hear you.
you know, still doing it.
How we doing, Dave?
Yeah, we're getting there.
We got to wrap it up? Okay. I don't want to wrap it up, but you got to come back because we didn't talk about music.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
Do it real quick. How long we got?
5 minutes.
Oh, shit. Okay, 5 minutes. All right. Desert Island Albums.
So, okay. So I prepared this one because
Okay.
I've been listening to a couple of
ready.
your podcasts.
I'm sorry that we ran out of time.
All right. No, that's
Unfortunate.
that's okay. So I'm going to say the first 3 Hendrix albums.
Okay.
That's number one.
Sure.
That counts as one, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
And then I have to consider, I think, 3 albums that really had the most impact on me as a kid. And in no particular order, it's going to be Freak Out.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to be Trout Mask Replica by Captain Beefheart.
Wow. Cool.
And it's going to be The Ventures on Stage.
Wow. Yeah.
So, you
okay.
know,
Yeah,
so-
that covers a lot of ground.
Yeah. And
Wow.
like yourself, I mean, I spent my teenage years playing along to albums.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So Mitch Mitchell
Yeah, yeah.
was the king.
Sure. Yeah.
And, you know, I was listening to one of your podcasts where you're talking about, you know, the jazz influence.
Yeah.
Especially with the British drummers, man.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So Mel Taylor
Yeah.
from the Ventures,
Yeah.
obviously, you know, and Mitch Mitchell
Yep.
and Densmore,
Yeah. Right?
you know, and John Steele from the Animals. I mean, these guys,
Sure.
they were just
Sure.
such great technicians,
Agreed.
you know.
Yeah, you got to come back. We didn't talk enough about music. All
Okay.
right. Desert Island food. Quick.
Real quick. So I'm going to go with dim sum.
Oh, okay.
My girlfriend's Chinese.
Interesting. Okay. There you go. Groovy. You gotta come back. We ran out of time. I don't want to run out in the middle, so we're gonna call it right now. Thank you. That was very interesting. I'm glad
Thank
I heard
you,
that whole
John.
story. No, that's cool.
I really like your podcast, man. You're doing the great stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
thanks.
There's a lot of history here, and it's great that you're documenting it.
That's where my head is at now. I
Good.
just go, putting all these, and you were like at the center of a bunch of dots that I did not know about. So this is good. This is good. The man behind the curtain, I guess. The Gandhi of the record business, right? Right?
That's it.
All right, I'm going to press the button. I'm sorry. I hate to rush us out, but here I go.
There you are.
John Peckman Podcast. Bob Anderson was here. Very, very interesting. You guys do this again. Come over the bridge. Look at the lights. Go to the left. Like and subscribe. Do whatever you got to do. Listen for Bob's show. We'll put some links in. Find out what's going on. All right, thanks a lot, kids. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Drive safe. That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.